Hello dear students, welcome back. This is Josephine here. Look at the screen. I give you three statements. Look at them and tell me what they are. If you study well, you will pass. If you study well, you will pass. If you charged the battery, it would work. If you charged the battery, it would work. If you had come, I would have felt happy. If you had come, I would have felt happy. What are these statements called? Observe carefully. See, each statement expresses a condition. For example, look at the first one. If you study well, you will pass. You will pass. When will you pass? The condition is if you study well. Look at the second one. If you charged the battery, it would work. When would the battery work? The condition is it would be charged. It should be charged. So such statements which express condition are known as conditional statements. Got the point here? So conditional statements are the statements which express condition. That is to say that an action can happen only when certain condition is fulfilled. An action can happen only when a certain condition is fulfilled. See here, the first case, if you study well, you will pass. The action, that is, you will pass, can happen only when the condition is fulfilled. The condition is you study well. So such statements which express conditions are known as conditional statements. Got the point here, students? And conditional statements are of three kinds. We have type 1, type 2 and type 3. The patterns are different. Look at the screen. I'll take the same first example. If you study well, you will pass. I'll present this statement in two other ways. See, if you study well, you will pass. If you studied well, you would pass. And the third case is, if you had studied well, you would have passed. If you study well, you will pass. If you studied well, you would pass. If you had studied well, you would have passed. These three statements convey same meaning, but their grammatical structures are different. And I told you that these three are conditional statements. See the pattern, first pattern. In all the three cases you see, we have two clauses. See the first one, if you study well, is the first clause. This is called if clause. You will pass is the main clause. If you study well is called if clause, and you will pass is the main clause. In each statement we have if clause and main clause. Got the point here, students? See the first one, the if clause is in simple present tense. Got it? If clause is in simple present tense, whereas the main clause is in future tense. We have used modal will, will. Got the point here? Usually in first, so that is the first statement is an example of type 1 conditional. I told you there are three conditionals, type 1, type 2, type 3. The first one is an example for type 1, second one is type 2 and third one is type 3 conditional. In type 1 we use pattern. The if clause will be simple present and the main clause will be in future tense, or it will use a modal. You know modals: will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, plus main verb. You see, you will pass. Pass is the main verb. Got it? Then see the type 2 conditional. If you studied well, see, you studied well is past tense, simple past tense, right? And you would pass is past tense. Both are past tenses. See, the if clause is simple past tense. This is also past tense. See, would, could, should, might. These models which express, past tense must be used here. The models expressing past tenses like would, could, should, might. That is type 2 conditional. In type 2 conditional, the if clause will be simple past, whereas the main clause will be, it will also be past tense. We use past models here. The models expressing past tenses, right? And see, type 3 conditional. If you had studied well, you had studied well is perfect tense, past perfect tense. So in type 3 conditional, the if clause must be a past perfect tense, and the main clause, you see, we are using past models. The models expressing past tense would. Depending upon the situation, you can use would, could, should, would. Plus, I've used have. It is mandatory. Would plus have plus V3 form of past. What is the V3 form of past? V3 means past participle. The past participle of past is past. See, if you had studied well, you would have passed. Got the point, students? So these are the 3 types of conditions which we use. Okay. So in type 1, of course, in all the 3 types of 3 conditionals, we have if clause and main clause. Got it? And in type 1, if clause will be simple present, and the main clause will use a modal and main verb. Type 2 conditional, the if clause will be simple past, and the main clause will use the models expressing past tenses like would, could, should, and might plus main verb. Then in case of type 3 conditional, the if clause will be in past perfect tense, and the main clause will use the models expressing past tense, that is would, could, should, would, depending upon the type, and plus we use have mandatorily, and also the V3 form of the main verb. Got it, dear students? And see, this can also be written like this. See, the first conditional, if you study, you will pass. You can write, you will pass if you study well. You can send if clause that side, and you can bring main clause this side. Both are right. Got the point, dear students? Okay. Then, conditionals can also be expressed in negatives. For example, look at the first statement. Take the example of first example. Take the first example. If you study well, you will pass. You can write this like this also. If you study well, you will not fail. If you study well, you will not fail. Got the point, dear students? Or if you don't study well, you will fail. You can write like this also, but you are not supposed to forget the pattern. Type 1, type 2, type 3. In type 1, present simple plus modal verb and main verb. Type 2, if clause must be past simple and models expressing past tenses plus main verb. Then third case, in type 3 conditional, past perfect tense plus would, could, should, or might plus have plus V3 form. That's all. Got it? Let us do an exercise. Okay. See, rewrite as directed. Suppose you expect, in the examination, you are given rewrite as directed. One question. As soon as I finish work, I will call you. As soon as I finish work, I will call you. This is the question given, and you are asked to rewrite this using type 1 conditional. As soon as I finish work, I will call you. This statement must be written in type 1. It must be rewrite. You are asked to rewrite it using first type 1 conditional. How will you write? Very simple. If I finish my work, see, type 1 conditional expects the main clause, the if clause to be in simple tense. So if I finish work, I will call you. One more example. Take the first bus and get on time. Take the first bus and get on time. This is the statement given, and you are asked to rewrite it using third conditional, type 3 conditional. Take the first bus and get on time. Okay, so this can be written in type 3 conditional, but before writing type 3 conditional, you just recall the rule. The if clause must be a past perfect tense, and the main clause must have would, could, should, or would, might, plus have compulsory, plus the V3 form. Got the point here? So I'll write like this. If you add taken the first bus. See, take the first bus becomes, if you had taken the first bus, you would have got on time. You would have got on time. If you had taken the first bus, see, had taken, it is past perfect tense. If you had taken the first bus, you would, could, should, one of these words must be used. Okay, the words expressing, the models expressing past tenses. Okay, you would have is compulsory. You would have, what is the past participle form? V3 form of get, got. You would have got on time. Or you can write in negative also. If you had not taken, if you had not taken the first bus, you would have not got on time. Got it, dear students? Next, book early to get a seat. Book early to get a seat. Rewrite using second conditional, type 2 conditional. Okay, book early to get a seat. Book early to get a seat. Type 2. Type expects both in past tenses. Okay, the if clause must be in past tense, simple past tense, and the main clause must also use past tense. That is, the models expressing past tenses, would, could, should, or might. See, once again, book early to get a seat, and this can be written in type 2 conditional as, if you booked early. See, book early, it is simple. You have to make it simple past. That is simple present. Book early, simple present. You have to make it simple past in case of type 2 conditional. If you booked early, you would get a seat. You would get a seat, right? One more example. Heat the water, it boils. Heat the water, it boils. And you're asked to, see, combine the sentences using type 1 conditional. Two statements are given, you have to combine them using type 1 conditional. Okay, heat the water is one sentence, it boils is the second one. Two statements must be combined into one using type 1 conditional. And type 1 condition says the if clause must be simple present tense, and the main clause must use modal and main verb. And the main verb is already a boils. Say, let us write. If you eat the water, say, if you heat the water, it is a simple present tense, heat the water. If you heat the water, it will boil. It will boil. That's all. So, like this, you can convert any statement into type 1 conditional, type 2 conditional, or type 3 conditional. Okay. Remember, conditional sentences are sentences that express condition. Got the point, dear students? So, there is one more conditional, that is zero type. In zero type, we use, the if clause will be in present tense, even the main clause will also be in present tense. Got the point here? Okay, the main clause will also be in present tense, the if clause will also be in present tense in zero conditionals. For example, heat the water, it boils. Let us take the same. Heat the water, it boils. Let us combine them using zero conditional, type 0. It's very simple. If you heat the water, present simple, it boils. Don't write will boil, because if you write will boil, it becomes type 1. It would boil becomes type 2. It would have boiled becomes type 3. In type 0, you are not supposed to use any model. Okay, if you heat the water, it boils. That's all. This is zero type. Got it? Usually will be given type 1, type 2, type 3 to rewrite. Okay, but still you have this concept also in mind, zero type conditional. Okay, so at the end of this video, I'll post some more questions for practice. You just copy them and practice. I'm sure you'll be thorough with this topic. Okay, very simple topic this is. Okay, we have type 1, type 2, type 3 conditional. Conditions can be expressed in 3 ways: type 1, type 2, type 3. Okay, what rules you have to follow, I have clearly explained. Refer the table and rewrite the sentences accordingly in type 1, type 2, type 3. Okay, that's the end of this topic. We'll meet soon in the next class. I'll come out with one more topic. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Bye.